Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Twin Stick Podcast. We're your hosts, Luke and Jackson Hershey, twins from Charlotte, North Carolina. Same face, two opinions. We are so excited to be back with you guys on another episode. This week's been crazy. I'm not gonna lie. Jackson and I just finished the end of our junior year. We're going into senior year, and I really want to talk to you about that because if you look back at really when we started this podcast, even we were sophomores, really going end of our freshman year, going into our sophomore year that summer, and it's kind of crazy to look back now and think, man, the ways God's blessed it has been unbelievable and such a blessing, and the people we've been able to just get to talk to and hear their story through this podcast has been so awesome, and it's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, absolutely. I know personally for me, it's just been a whirlwind, but nothing I would ever take back, and it's just something that God's blessed for us, and
Yeah.
it's been a lot of fun and lots of memories that we've been able to make, and we're excited to keep making them.
Yeah. I think the cool thing with this is you get to hear people's stories, you get to hear people's faith, and just kind of get to see the behind the scenes picture of what you don't get to see when you're watching a basketball game or a football game. And that's something that Jackson and I have always thought is really cool. And today we have a guy that we're really excited about, someone that we've been trying to get on for a little bit. And we finally get the opportunity to talk to him. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a background, he started his journey at Montverde, ended up going to Michigan, played amazing there. They went to the Elite Eight, and then ended up transferring to VCU, where this year he was the sixth man of the year in the Atlantic 10 Conference. He has so many accolades. Now he's going to go play professional basketball because he ran out of eligibility, and he's just such a cool guy where we got to sit down and really get to dive deep into his faith and talk about his journey. So without further ado, let's dive into this episode of the Twin Stick Podcast with none other than Zeb Jackson. Let's go. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Twin Stick Podcast, and we got an awesome guest hopping on with us today. Star of the VCU basketball team, sixth man of the year in the A10. We got none other than Zeb Jackson hopping on, man. Thank you so much for coming on.
Nah, no problem. Appreciate y'all having me.
Dude, we're psyched you're on. I guess really the first question we wanted to ask you is, I mean, y'all went on such an awesome run this year, really across the table, in the A10, and then really made a run at BYU in the tournament. What about this team was you felt like? What about that team was so special?
I think just we had a group of guys that just kind of like filled in all the pieces. Like, I think especially as the season went on, guys kind of understood where they could best help the team because we had a group of skilled guys that could do everything. So, I mean, at that point, it's about, like, each person having, like, a certain level of humility to be able to just kind of do what's very necessary and do what they bring to the team that other guys might not, even though they might be good enough in a lot of other areas. So, I think each one of our guys just had a level of humility to be able to get in and do what they had to do to help us win the game, regardless of individually what they're capable of.
Man, well, y'all had an incredible season, and starting off in this podcast, we really just want to start from the beginning for you. When did you really start getting into basketball?
I started getting into basketball. I started getting into basketball as soon as I can remember. Honestly, like probably I would say like 4 years old, 4 years old. So, I mean, as little as I could dribble basketball and play on like a little kid's hoop.
Yeah, dude, that's so cool. Did you play any other sports growing up?
I played soccer. That was it though.
Yeah. When did you kind of figure out like, nah, I'm not doing soccer. It's all basketball from here.
I say I got serious about basketball in probably like second, third grade.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of crazy to think about. But I stopped playing soccer when I think my last year playing soccer was like 8th grade, I want to say. But I actually used to, like when I was younger, when it was time to play soccer, like I wouldn't play basketball anymore. And then once I got like middle school, yeah, I would play soccer and then probably go work out after like my practice and stuff like that for basketball. But when I was younger, I used to really like soccer.
Dude, that's really sick. How big of an influence do you think your parents had on you, like wanting to pursue basketball?
Definitely a big influence because I mean, one I knew like it was a way to go to college for free, obviously, and that was something that I didn't want my parents to have to worry about. But also, just knowing like as parents how much they sacrifice, it's kind of hard to see when you're younger. But as you grow up, you see a lot of areas where they they sacrifice not only their time but just energy and it's difficult. I mean, obviously I don't know because I'm not a parent yet, but I can only imagine.
Right. Man, that's incredible. And you ended up playing for Montverde High School in Florida. How cool of an experience was it? Not just you, but you had an incredible team back then.
Yeah.
How fun was it to play with guys that could just hoop all around?
It was super fun. I mean, Montverde is a unique experience, to say the least, and I think those guys really made it like extremely enjoyable. Like it's a like when I say unique experience, I just mean like campus life, the school, and just the lifestyle in general. It's a lot different than obviously what it's like at home. So those guys made it an amazing time.
Yeah, was it hard to make that decision, like to go to Montverde, like away from home? Like, and I'm sure I think it's a boarding. Is it a boarding school? Like,
It
how
is.
was it like completely leaving home, leaving everything you knew, and like was that a huge decision to make?
Yeah, it definitely was. It was like a boarding school / day school. So there were some day students, there were some boarding students, but yeah, it was tough. I mean, I considered going to a prep school my junior year of high school. I think at the time the only school that was actually like reaching out that I was considering was Lalumere. But then going into my senior year of high school, I visited Huntington Prep and there was a lot more reaching out. So I visited Huntington Prep, Prolific Prep, and Montverde. So that's West Virginia, California, and Florida. And
It's all over the place.
yeah, it's all over the place. And it was a hard decision to make for sure. I mean, because obviously, like for basketball, it all sounded good, but then like considering actually just being away from home, school, where I'm living at, like all of that, the people taking care of me there, like it was all it took some time.
Yeah, bro. I think it was so cool, and obviously, it was worth it because I mean, you go from Montverde and you end up going to Michigan. What was we wanted to ask you about your recruiting process. What was that like for you? Did you enjoy it? Was it stressful? And then like, what ultimately about Michigan stood out to you at the time?
I definitely enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than it was stressful. It got more stressful when it was time to make a decision. But when the offers first started coming in, I actually I couldn't believe it because it's something that you always dream of like having, and then when it actually happened, it was just like man. I mean, and you also plan throughout the time you get offers, trying to get more offers also. So as they just kept coming, it was just like, yeah, this is really happening. But what led me to Michigan was I was Beeline's first. I committed to John Beeline, not Juwan Howard, and I was Beeline's first offer before my junior basketball season.
Wow.
So I think to me it meant a lot that at the time like Beeline did not actually offer younger guys, but me and him had a good relationship and he really liked my game and they were serious about trying to get me. So him offering me sooner and also offering me first in my class meant a lot. But I also was heavily considering Michigan State at the time with Coach Izzo. And there were two guys that I had great relationships with, and it was, at the time, for me, about, like what fit me best.
Right.
And I knew Michigan State, like, I think coming out of high school, I didn't play defense as much or nothing like that. So coming out of high school, the more aggressiveness that came with Michigan State probably wasn't really what I was looking at as much. But knowing me now, I would have been fine either way. But yeah, that's what kind of helped, like, kind of made me lean towards Beeline a little more.
Yeah. Dude, I think that's so cool. Do you remember kind of like what your first offer was and like what the feeling was like when you had that first offer?
Yeah, now I actually got offered by the University of Toledo when I was in 8th grade, and it was at like
that's
a
crazy.
Holy crap.
for sure, and it was at a team camp. So like You know, the team camps during the summer where they have all the high schools play against each other. Yeah, I played with my high school when I was in 8th grade, and I got offered by Toledo in 8th grade, and it was crazy.
No way.
It was crazy. Like, I think that kind of motivated me a lot more to know, like, okay, this is right here, and I can do something with this.
Bro, that's insane. 8th grade, bro.
Crazy.
Nah, it's crazy.
And so you would end up going to Michigan. You had a couple good years there. What was your favorite memory of Michigan with your time being there?
Favorite memory definitely had to be the tournament, the March Madness tournament, just because, like, playing a lot more with VCU, I understand how difficult it is to reach what we reached, and I think just going through that with those guys, I mean, we had an awesome team, guys I still talk to all the time to this day, so it's just something I'll never forget, and it was during COVID, so it was like you had nothing to do. Yeah, actually, like we had nothing to do but just spend quality time with each other. Like, everything was just as a group. So
right. Yeah, bro.
Awesome.
What kind of pressure? Because I mean, it's easy for us to sit back and watch March Madness and be like, this team's gonna win. This team's gonna win. Like, how much pressure do you have going into a game that big? Like, because there's so much hype to it. Like, whether you're on VCU or Michigan, like. Just being there is it's such a crazy atmosphere. Like, how much pressure do you feel going into a game like that?
Yeah. Like, as a player, in the moment, the pressure is almost like, obviously there's pressure that comes with every game because you want to win every game. But, like, to an extent, the pressure is good because that means that you're actually working for something. Like, if we were just completely comfortable and didn't really care, that would take away from the whole point. So I think, like, being in March Madness and feeling that pressure is almost like in my mind, almost just like trying to differentiate anxiety versus excitement. Like, it's a very thin line of, like, what's pressure and what's just, okay, I'm excited to go out there and obviously try and win this game. So yeah, I think it's just, I don't know, it's just an exciting experience.
Yeah, man. After your time in Michigan, what led you to want to enter the transfer portal, and what was that whole experience like? Because it's different. It's a little different than college recruiting. But what were you kind of expecting going into the portal? What was it kind of like until you made your decision to go to VCU?
So what made me enter the portal is I just felt like I said, I committed to John Beeline and ended up playing both of my years at Michigan with Juwan Howard, and I feel like it just got to the point where I was like, yeah, this isn't the right fit for me. And I was kind of struggling, like it was a lot, just not really playing, but then also, like, trying your hardest, and then I got sick, and then it was a lot of, like, extra stuff that just made it really hard to get back to, like, playing like myself. And I think I just got to the point where I was like, I just need to play basketball, because it was getting to the point where it was hard to, like, keep like pushing, keep fighting, trying to play some basketball. So I was like, I just got to the point where I wanted to play. And when I hit the portal, I have a really good relationship with Phil Martelli Sr. So obviously his son is a coach at VCU now.
Yeah.
And I used to talk to him all the time, especially, like, closer to when I was about to leave. And when I did enter the portal, his other son, Jimmy Martelli, was the Dobo at VCU.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
It's super crazy. And Coach Phil Sr., he knew me well enough to know, like, where would be a good fit for me, and he felt like VCU was a spot where it had everything that I needed, from like a family atmosphere to the style of play basketball wise to the city that I would be in the lifestyle in Richmond, and Richmond is about VCU basketball, so it was a perfect fit for me.
Dude, I think it's always funny to me, like kind of how God works and, like, how that ended up really working out. And we were wanting to ask you about your faith in 1 second, but I mean, that's such a wild story. So you go to VCU,
and then you start to really make an impact on that team. Do you have a favorite year while playing there, or is it all kind of gone by so fast?
It's all gone by so fast. I mean, I have the logo tattooed on my knee. A lot of people know that already, but I have the logo tattooed on my knee, and each year
Wow.
has, like you said, like God placed me in a place where in that season of my life, I needed every bit of it, and I was able to, like be watered during those seasons, and at the same time, I went through uh, some rough patches that ultimately just led to me growing more than I can imagine in those 3 years.
Yeah. Man, I love that. And we did want to jump into your faith. How big of a role has God played for you throughout your entire basketball journey?
Words can't. Me trying to use words to describe what God has done for me in this journey wouldn't do him justice. But I think that it's crazy to think where I've been at, in terms of like mentally and spiritually, and just like the times where it might have been just complete confusion, or the times where it could have been like God showed me something, or whatever it was I was going through. And when I look back on it, one thing I really got into was like journaling, right? Because a lot of times,
Same way.
yes, a lot of times God can do stuff for you and you just forget. Like over time, you just forget. So being able to go back and remember all the times where I was in valleys or I was in dark places, and God just gave me that like that little push, or that little bit of light that I needed to get out of it. Like He brought me out of so much. So I can't use words to describe it. That'd be unfair.
Yeah, bro, it's so funny to hear you say that, because I was at like a Young Life camp serving for a weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and like I mean my faith was good, but I remember like getting up at like 6 a.m. and they didn't make you journal, but they wanted you to journal, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna give this a try, and dude, it's so crazy, like within those like 3 days, like what God showed me, and I've been doing it ever since. Like it's crazy. Oh, and that just really,
good reflection.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy how God can show you. Sometimes it's just writing out what you say in your head. Just the visual of like seeing it. And then you can go back months and months later after you prayed for something, like, man,
Right.
God really worked on that after. Which that's been crazy. So I thought that was really cool. You said
Right.
that. When did you feel like your relationship with God really started to get really strong?
Definitely my Coach Odom's first year. So not this past season, but the season before. And that summer, my beliefs was all over the place. So I grew up going to church. I grew up like, Christian, if you want to say, but like not really.
Yeah.
Like I was just around it.
Right.
So like, but that's where I come from. So like I knew of Jesus. I knew of like the gospel and all that stuff. I knew of it. I didn't know it myself. But as life went on and I was just learning myself, like going through my own individual experiences, I got confused, and it was kind of like just like doing my own thing. Like when you think the way I always think of it is like, we're all sheep and the Lord is our shepherd, right? So like,
Right.
first of all, when you think about it, like sheep are dumb. Sheep can't do nothing without the shepherd. Like a sheep can't do anything and is nothing without the shepherd. It's just a thing on this earth just walking around. So like,
Right.
as I wandered away, that's exactly how I looked. Like in my head, I thought I was doing what might be fun, or I thought I was doing what I wanted to do and all that, this, that, and the third. But like realistically, in a spiritual perspective, it was like I was just wandering around, probably just walking in circles, like just lost. And I think when I was at Michigan, I took it a little more serious in spurts, because I was going through stuff. I would almost kind of describe it as like, it might be a little extreme, but I would almost describe it as like an identity crisis because I identified so heavily with basketball. Like as that was slowly dwindling away and I wasn't really playing basketball anymore, I was like, okay, what am I doing? Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. So it was like, who am I without basketball? So as I started to figure that out, or as I started to actually think about that more seriously, I got into a stage of just like praying a lot more, not really reading the word, but just praying. And yeah, I'd say all that to say like my first year at VCU, Coach Bryce Crawford, our assistant coach, and Joe. So Coach Bryce, Joe, Toby.
Yeah.
Those three were a lot more grounded in their faith and were able to talk me out of the confusion that I had in my own mind in terms of like what do I believe in and me and Coach Bryce had a conversation. To make a long story short, me and Coach Bryce had a conversation where he just called me out. Like I told him, I tried to explain to him what I believed in, and it wasn't anything crazy, like, but it was just very vague, very basic. Like I didn't know Jesus at the time, so it was just like me just trying to grab onto something. That's literally how I explained it to him. Like, I'm trying to grab onto something that makes sense because I can't make sense of what's going on, and I've been saved multiple times. And yeah, he just called me out on it. Like, but what's awesome is the power of God's word is what would like flip the switch in my mind. Like Coach Bryce just speaking to me, like I said, he was very grounded in his faith. So he didn't use his own words. He used the word of God, which makes more sense than anything we can say as human beings.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's what really got me like on track and more serious about it. And then probably from like August of that year, like right before, we probably had that conversation right before we went to Greece as a team. And then once we got back from Greece, I just took it a lot more serious. And I had a community of coaches, of teammates, of the church that I started going to, and it just kind of helped me continue to grow from there. Obviously, there's been a bunch of rough patches since, but that's when I really locked in on it.
Man, we really appreciate you sharing all that. That's awesome. We know we've kept you on for a little bit, but we had like 2 more questions for you.
Bro, good.
So wrapping up so now we kind of want to jump forward into this year. Man, y'all had an incredible season. It was really fun to watch. I know he asked you about what y'all thought about this year, but what was there any adversity y'all's team had to go through this year that y'all were able to overcome?
Yeah. First of all, I mean, there's adversity throughout the entire season, like throughout the entire season, and it could be little stuff, but actually, like right before the season, I actually broke my hand. So
wow.
You probably can't. It's the scar tissue.
Yeah, I can see it a little bit. Yeah.
But I had surgery. I had a fracture in my. I can't remember what the doctor term for it was.
Right.
But they just put like a big screw in it, so I would be able to come back faster. So it's something that could have healed on its own if it wasn't during the season. But I was able to come back in probably like 2-3 weeks and start back activity and all that stuff. So I missed like the first 5 games. Then when I came back, obviously that's an adjustment for everyone else because they didn't play 5 games without me and gotta
adjust.
Yeah, it's an adjustment for everyone, even the coaches. So I think that was some adversity. I think just like when you're having as good of a season as we did, each loss feels a lot more like heavy. Yeah. That's crazy. We just use the same word.
Bro, we're on the same page.
That's for sure. But each loss feels a lot more heavy. Like it's a lot more emphasized. So the losses that we did take was like, okay, it's time to come together as a team and just not allow it to happen again because most of the time it was all stuff that was in our control. So I think just that, and then the adversity of going through a long season. Like, as time goes on, it's easy to lose focus. So, showing up to practice every day, or days of practice might have been a little slower or a little less energetic, and
Right.
we just got to get through little stuff like that. So, yeah.
I mean, dude. People don't understand. Like, the life of a college basketball player is not as easy as it looks and as
It's
glorified
not.
to sound, bro.
It's not
It's
at all.
not. Last question we really had for you is, what's kind of next for you? Do you have any eligibility left? Like, what's kind of the next step for you and what you're wanting to do?
I do not have any eligibility left, but
Yeah,
obviously there's a lot going on with a lot of players entering the transfer portal without
I
eligibility.
have seen that.
Yeah, so that was a whole mess in its own, me trying to figure that out. And we were actually kind of talking about it as the season was wrapping up. I was trying to get a better understanding of what my future looked like.
Yeah, man.
So that's a whole thing in its own, trying to deal with that, like what your future looks like and finishing out the season strong. But yeah, I don't have any eligibility left. I explored it, but it didn't end up working out. And yeah, recently I've just been going through the whole process of finding the right agent, which I think I have, so hopefully it works out.
Hey,
That's awesome, man.
so bro's gonna be playing professional basketball.
Right.
Bro, let's go.
Right.
Dude, we're hyped for you, man.
Thank you.
Bro, thank you so much for taking the time to hop on. Everyone go follow Zeb Jackson. Bro is an absolute legend, man. Thank you so much for hopping on.
Appreciate y'all.